Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a great Sunday. Those of you who were able and had the time probably enjoyed a great chess spectacle yesterday. I'm of course not referring to my own stream, even though I would like to thank everyone for coming. It was an amazing experience and there were over 370 players playing in the tournament. So that's a huge tournament, the biggest one yet. And I would like to thank Jan for joining me in the stream and making it a lot more entertaining for everyone. As I saw that many of you really enjoy when Jan joins the stream, so I'll make sure to invite him more often. But what I am referring to is the Speed Chess Championship organized by Chess.com, featuring a match between Magnus Carlsen and Wesley So. It was, as usual, quite an amazing experience watching Carlsen give a good beating to everyone in lower time formats. I mean, Wesley So is a top 10 player, and he was, I don't know if he's still above 2800, but he was for a long time. He had that unbelievable unbeaten streak of, I believe, 56 or 57 games, something below 60. Before he lost that game to Mamedyarov, but he definitely shows that he's a force to be reckoned with, and definitely one of the candidates to maybe challenge Carlsen in the future. But in lower time formats, it seems not to be the case. As usual, the match was played with 3 sections. There was a 5 plus 2 second increment, 3 plus 2 second increment, and a bullet section. Not a real bullet, but a 1 plus 1 second increment bullet. And Carlsen won the match with a result of 27.5 to 9.5, which is definitely a very nice result against someone who is in the top 10 chess players in the world. He won the 5 plus 2 section with a result of 11 to 3, and he won the bullet section with an amazing 12.5 to 0.5. So in the bullet section, Wesley So only managed to get 1 draw. But okay, Wesley did win the 3 plus 2 section, so not that big of a disaster. It's not as bad as what Carlsen did to Ding Liren a couple of days ago in the Champions Showdown. This is one game I decided to show you. It's from the beginning of the match. It's the 5 plus 2 second increment section. Wesley So has the white pieces, and he plays knight to f3. Carlsen goes e6, and we have c4. So we have the English opening, b6, g3, bishop to b7, bishop to g2, g6, So castles, bishop to g7, knight to c3, knight to f6, we have d4, knight to e4 by Carlsen, and bishop to d2. Here, Carlsen castles. This might seem like a very good opportunity to snatch this bishop on d2 and rob white of the bishop pair, but capturing on d2, I only develop the white queen, and well, you still have to castle after you castle. For example, white has this immediate e4, and white has a perfectly good game. Rook a to d1, rook f to e1 are coming. And it's a very easy position to play for such a strong grandmaster. So after bishop to d2, Carlsen castled, and rook to c1. c5, we have d5, e captures, c captures, and Carlsen plays now knight captures on d2, now grabbing the bishop. Knight captures on d2 and d6. Knight to c4, although maybe a better plan for white here would be something like a4. This stops any future ideas of a6 and b5. Also now, if black does push a5, then knight to c4 comes with a threat of, not with a threat, but threatening b6 and the d6 pawn. So maybe a4 was better here. But okay, Wesley played knight to c4. And this allows Carlsen to kind of revive his bishop on b7, as this d5 pawn is blocking it now. He plays bishop to a6, now attacking the knight on c4. b3, b5, kicking the knight away, knight to d2, knight to d7, preparing moves like knight to e5. And it's interesting that this actually stops the idea of e4. Although Wesley would definitely enjoy pushing e4 at some point, but in this position it's still impossible because of a tactic. Bishop captures on c3, rook captures on c3, and b4, attacking both rooks. Wesley is losing the exchange here. So after knight d7, Wesley played a4, we have b4, knight goes to e4, and knight to e5 now. And still, so far, Carlsen is very successful in stopping Wesley from pushing e4. Knight to c4 was played here. You can't play a move like f4, even though, you know, at some point you would like to play rook e1, f4, e4, but f4 immediately to kick away the knight is very uncomfortable for white. After a knight g4 move, threatening knight to e3, attacking the queen and the rook, you can't really play queen c2, or because, you know, knight e3 still attacks the queen and the rook. After something like queen to e1, then bishop to d4 check, king h1, knight will come to e3, and after rook to f3, only place where the rook is temporarily safe, rook e8, and this is just very, very hard to play for white. All of his pieces are cramped in, and it's probably a winning position for black. So after knight e5, Wesley plays knight to c4, but now Carlsen plays knight captures on c4, b captures on c4, and rook to e8. And now Carlsen has a bishop pair, and this very strong passed b pawn. This will be very hard to stop. You know, in the hands of the world champion, this is a winning position for black. Rook to e1, f5 now, kicking the knight back, knight to d2, and Carlsen plays bishop to c3, now pinning the knight, and again not allowing Wesley to push e4. e3, queen to f6, rook to e2, unpinning the knight, so the knight can unpin. Rook to e7, Carlsen is preparing to double up on the e-file, queen to b3, rook a to e8, now Carlsen does double up, knight to b1, attacking the bishop. Carlsen, of course, will not trade this very strong bishop. Carlsen plays bishop to e5, now with ideas of g5 and f4. This is very unpleasant for Wesley. The rook on e2 is undefended. Carlsen is ready to break open the king side. So Wesley plays f4 himself. He stops this idea, but he allows another idea. Carlsen plays bishop to d4, and this move in itself is already winning the pawn on e3 and the game. The best move here is something like king to h1, but again, you're losing that pawn and you're losing the game really, really bad. But Wesley played rook to e1, and it took Carlsen less than a second to play his next move. Carlsen plays the immediate bishop captures on e3 with check. Again, king to h1, probably a safer way to go, but you're losing this game. Wesley played king captures on e3, rook captures on e3, and after rook captures on e3, rook captures on e3, queen to d4, now pinning the rook. Now the queen and the rook are attacking this rook, and in this position Wesley resigned the game. Because you can't protect the rook. If you play king f2, you get bishop to c4, and now you lose the queen on b3. You can't go to a3, you can't go to c3, you can't go to d3, and there is no square the white queen can go to still protect the rook on e3. If you move the queen, for example queen c2, queen captures on e3 is checkmate. So Wesley would have to give up the queen if he played this line with king f2, but he didn't. After queen to d4, he resigned the game. So yeah, a beautiful victory by world champion Magnus Carlsen. It's only 29 moves, so definitely quite an achievement with the black pieces. You know, a very enjoyable thing to watch. How Magnus Carlsen can prevent a top 10 chess player in the world from pushing e4, you know, with white. It's you know, very, very enjoyable. So that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Thomas Kakon and Paul Firth for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. Once again, thank you everyone for joining the stream. I do hope you can make it as usual. I'm very sorry I made the stream at the same time Wesley So versus Magnus Carlsen was going on. But I announced it before I even saw the time that this match was going on. So sorry about that. As usual, you can check all my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon.